All right, well, we are back about 6 weeks later. Today is going to be our planting day. And so let me just show you where we're at in this chitting or sprouting process. A couple of changes you may notice in front of you from the previous video. And that is we had a couple of russet potatoes left over that started sprouting anyway on us in our pantry basket. And so this is two potatoes, and I had cut them up into sections because they're pretty big potatoes and they're just sprouting everywhere. And in fact, let me zoom in a little bit for you. So as you can see, our dates, we had set these in these trays on 6/26, and these russet potatoes are sprouting pretty heavily. So we're going to be planting those. And then these are our yellow potatoes. So these are the yellow potatoes, and you see they're sprouting pretty nicely as well. And I'm actually going to kind of do, I guess you would say, an additional trial and error or experiment when I get out in the field, and I'll show you that. I'm actually going to cut a couple of these potatoes, and I'm not going to heel them, H-E-A-L. I'm not going to heel them. I've seen different videos, probably like yourself, different aspects. I've read different articles by potato growers and old time growers and all this kind of stuff, and you get mixed reviews. So I'm actually just going to plant them without doing that. I know there's a chance of introducing disease, but I'm going to plant them in a mound, and you'll see all of this here in just a second. But then we also have these red potatoes. Now these probably for the most part are just going to be planted whole. They've only got 1 to 2 small eyes sprouting on them, and it's not, most of them are not going to be viable to cut and do much with. But they've sprouted for the most part pretty nicely, these little red potatoes, which we have several of. So yeah, so let's take them outside. I'll cut them up and you can see what we're going to do and how I plant it, and just give me your thoughts. See you in a minute. Well, hey folks, Jim here with Sunrise Farm. This is where we're going to plant our potatoes. I had already had a mound here one of the mounds I had done in hugelkultur, which I got a couple of videos coming out. It was supposed to be one of the mounds that I was going to put with my pumpkin patch, but honestly the pumpkin idea failed. We couldn't get them in the ground fast enough, plus to be honest with you, even the ones I got in the ground, the deer ate. So we're just going to forgo the pumpkin thing for this October. Hopefully we can do this come around next year and be way more prepared. But at any rate, it gave me an opportunity to turn this one mound into a potato mound. And so we're going to do that. Today is Monday, August 14th, and it's about 10:30 in the morning. And I tell you another thing about us working down here in the South. You know, I live in a lower part of the state of South Carolina, so we call it the Low Country. And it gets very hot. So right now, for over a week, we've been under a heat advisory every day, and we have one more week to go. And what that basically means is every day it gets around 95 to 97 degrees, plus the heat index, which has been ranging up to 110, 115. Just to put that in some perspective, currently I am drenched I'm drenched. You almost thought I took a bath with my clothes on. But at any rate, to put that in perspective, at 5 o'clock this morning, it was 77 degrees with a heat index of 87 degrees. So think about that. 5 o'clock this morning, that's how hot it was. Moving on, so here I am. I had to do some other things first thing this morning, but here we are to plant these potatoes real quick. This shouldn't take too terribly long, and then I'm going to call it a break and some lunch. But I got my tractor bucket full of compost here. As you can see over there, I've got some leaf mulch that I've already just piled here. And I kind of also, with the bucket on my tractor, I separated a ditch in this mound I already had. So let me go ahead and put the compost in. I'm going to put the compost in. We're going to put a couple of amendments in there with the potatoes, and we're going to get these things covered up. Now I am not going to cover these potatoes completely with dirt. In fact, I'm not going to cover them completely until they start growing. But even after I start to cover them and mound them up and hill them, I'm going to do it with leaf mulch, not so much dirt. So I'm just going to mound it up continuously with leaf mulch. Let me go ahead and get this started for you. All right, I am going to use 2 soil amendments. I've got some triple 13 all-purpose fertilizer here. I'm going to put it down and then scratch it in. And then when I put the potatoes in, I've also got some bone meal. So I'm going to put bone meal over them and then pack them in and kind of cover them up. If you ask what the string line is for, it's more or less just to keep me straight. I'm pretty much OCD, so I like straight things, or as straight as you can do it in this kind of application. So it just kind of helps keep me straight and know where I'm at, both when I'm doing work with the tractor or shovel or even putting this stuff in. And I'm just going to take this, there's a couple size furrowing hose, this one's the larger one. Well, I'm just going to take this and kind of scratch it into it. Work it back and forth just like that, and it'll disappear and we'll be able to use it. All right, let's start by putting in the potatoes. I'm going to start with the russets, the few that we have, 6 pieces. Like I said, the russets were something we already had, and they just started chitting on their own, or sprouting, which is the same word. So in my spacing, somewhere in the 8 to 12 inch range. I'm not really going to measure. It's just, you know, I've done construction for over 30 years, so 12 inches is pretty easy for me to eyeball, but give or take anything like that. Now these actually were healed for about 2 weeks, in all honesty. So they already have their covering. But you're going to watch me cut these yellow, or yellow potatoes, and I will not heal those. I'm going to plant them directly and see what happens. I'm not planting a ton of potatoes, maybe about 40 in total. Hopefully they should all fit in this row. This row is 40 feet. All this is merely for me to be able to tell. In fact, I'm just going to put it off to the side over here to tell where I had stopped one kind of potato and put the other. That's it. Nothing fancy about that. So let's go ahead and plant the yellow ones next, and that way I'll show you. I'm just going to cut them. I'm going to cut them and literally stick them in the ground. So not every one of them is able to be cut, meaning there's not enough potato or not enough sprouts on the potato to do it, but we're going to do what we can. And like I said, on these red potatoes, there's no point in cutting any of them. They're very small potatoes to start with, and quite frankly, They just don't have enough sprouts on them to do anything. You know, the title of my video is about chitting, with a little play on words. And chitting, really, it exactly means the same thing as sprouting. It just happens to be more of a European term that they use, chitting. So, and you probably already know that, but if you didn't, it's really the exact same meaning. It's just more or less we say sprouting in America, and they say chitting in Europe. So, all right. This particular potato only has, it has 2 eyes on the end, 1 eye right there. And quite frankly, that may or may not be enough, but we're going to try it out. So I'm going to cut it at kind of an angle between those eyes. And there we go. So that's an eye there. And I'm just going to kind of put that in sideways where that eye is slightly facing up. This one I can just put in more or less straight down because the eyes are already facing up. So let's do another one. All right, this one doesn't even have enough eyes or sprouts on it started to separate, I don't think. So we're just going to plant this one whole. It's probably a waste. You know, there's a baby eye, baby sprout right there. Yeah, let's take a chance. Let's see what happens. Let's go ahead and cut that eye right out. Again, you can see there's all kind of moisture in there. So yes, I am praying that this doesn't rot. I'm going to try to work that potato in a little sideways, let that eye be up. All right, here's a big one. Now that one's got all kinds of sprouts on it, plus another decent one right there, so we're definitely going to cut it. All right, let's move around. Hey, by the way, don't tell my wife I took one of her Pioneer Woman knives from the house. She wouldn't be happy about that, so don't say nothing to her, okay? All right, so this one we can cut just about straight in half because there's a sprout here, sprout here, sprout here. And I know I've seen plenty of people that say you need a couple of sprouts, and then I've seen more people that say you just need one. That most of the time you'll get a potato that doesn't even have, you're still pulling out, when you go to harvest them, you're still pulling out a potato that's sitting there, just hadn't even been fully used. This one, about the same way. There's a sprout there, sprout right there, sprouts at the end. All right, I got 3 more left. Let's see. Yeah, this one here, there's a sprout there, and it's 2 sprouts at the end. So I'm going to try to cut it at an angle, see if we can't use both halves. I cut it to where you can see that sprout right there. This one here, One sprout, no point. And the final yellow potato, again, very small yellow potato with one sprout, well, one and a baby, but there's no way to cut it. So I'm just gonna plant that hole as well. Now the red potatoes, like I said, there is no cutting to them and separating the eyes, so we're just gonna plant them. Again, that's just a separation marker for me between the yellow potatoes and the red potatoes. So now for my final step before just covering it up with a touch of dirt and leaf mulch, bone meal. All right, and I'm just going to go back with my furrowing hoe and just kind of pack that around a little bit. And I'm only lightly covering it. It's hard to see from the video, maybe I'll get a close-up, but I can still see the sprouts. I'm going to let the sprouts grow a little bit and then continuously cover it. I'm not going to just bury it. I am going to put leaf mulch over this. The leaf mulch will help make this dirt loose and give the potatoes a room to maneuver, but it also help trap in moisture. Boy, is it hot. And that's a wrap for me today. So, as you saw, I put the leaf mulch over it, about 2 inches worth. So the dirt I put on it, I just scratched to the side. In most cases, I could still see the top of the potato and the eyes. I wanted to give them space to grow, ease of room, less resistance, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So that's why I put the leaf mulch on top, just a couple inches at the moment, just to kind of keep moisture in and to protect them. And as they come up through that leaf mulch, I'll continue to pile the leaf mulch up around them, and that'll be how I mound them. So from now on, the mounting process will only be leaf mulch. All right, well, we'll see how all this works out. I hope some of this was interesting to you and helped you out. I'd really love to know what you all think in the comments. I'd love for you to tell me what you all do, and just whatever advice you might have. Or if there's something new and interesting to you that maybe you didn't think of doing it this way before, let me know. My row is about 40 feet, so the potatoes I had pretty much covered it exactly. So we'll just see what it gets us. You know, we're hoping to get some to eat for our fall crop. But also we're going to try to, if this works out well, we're going to try to save some so we can go into next year with a better amount to plant with. So we're going to save seed potatoes. At any rate, I appreciate it so much. If you like this video, please give us a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel. Really appreciate it and help us out. And until the next video, take care and God bless you.